To fully understand this study, we must first learn about Null. Null is an incredibly powerful cosmic entity. Before the universe came into existence, and when complete darkness covered everything, Null ruled without opposition. However, when the cosmos was created and light began to spread, Null despised this change. He wished to restore the reign of darkness. To achieve this goal, he created the symbiotes. With the help of these creatures, Null launched attacks on various planets and destroyed them. The symbiotes were mentally linked directly to Null, allowing him to control them according to his will. However, during one of the battles, the symbiotes lost their connection with Null. That was when they realized that Null had only been using them for his own benefit. Upon discovering this truth, the symbiotes rebelled against Null and imprisoned him on a planet called. To break free from this captivity, Null required a special key known as the Codex. The Codex is a unique form of energy that is generated when a symbiote revives its deceased host. In the 2018 film Venom, when the right symbiote attacked Eddie Brock, he was killed. However, Venom brought him back to life, which resulted in the formation of a codex inside Eddie's body. Null immediately sensed this energy and, in order to obtain it, he unleashed the xenophages across the universe. Xenophages are terrifying creatures that Null created after the symbiotes. These beings lack the ability to think and act solely based on Null's commands. As they search for the codex, xenophages begin spreading across different planets, attempting to track it down. Meanwhile, on Earth, Eddie Brock and Venom were hiding in Mexico to evade the police. However, due to a spell cast by Doctor Strange, they were transported into another universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Later, when Doctor Strange performed another incantation, Eddie and Venom returned to their original world. But during this process, a tiny fragment of the Venom symbiote was left behind in the new universe. When Eddie returned to his world, he found himself in a place that closely resembled the environment of the MCU. Because of this, Venom unknowingly left another piece of himself there as well. Around the same time, Eddie came across a news report stating that police officer Patrick Mulligan, whom we had seen in the previous film, had been killed. The police blamed Eddie Brock for his murder. In order to escape the authorities, Eddie devised a plan. He knew a judge against whom he had evidence. So, he decided to blackmail this judge in an attempt to prove his innocence. However, this judge resided in New York, which meant Eddie and Venom had to travel from Mexico to New York. After making the decision, they set off on their journey. During this time, a secret organization known as Imperium, which conducted research on extraterrestrial beings, learned about Eddie and Venom. As a result, they began pursuing Eddie in an attempt to capture Venom's symbiote. Imperium consisted of a group of scientists and a military team led by General Rex Strickland. Some time ago, he had already captured multiple symbiotes that had arrived on Earth through a meteorite. Currently, the scientists at Imperium were conducting experiments on these symbiotes. Friends, if you are watching this video, do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, General Strickland arrives in Mexico with the intention of capturing Eddie. Upon reaching the bar, he successfully acquires a fragment of the Venom symbiote. Additionally, he arrests the bartender to interrogate him about Eddie's whereabouts. Later, Strickland takes both the symbiote fragment and the bartender to the headquarters of Imperium. This organization operated from a secret facility known as Area 51, where unauthorized experiments were conducted. Because of these illegal activities, the government was planning to shut this facility down. To execute this plan, they had developed a specialized acid chamber, which would completely obliterate Area 51. Meanwhile, Imperium discovers that Patrick Mulligan is still alive. At the end of the movie Venom though, a symbiote had entered Mulligan's body, leaving him in a state. This condition made everyone believe that he had died. Since he had come into contact with an extraterrestrial entity, the researchers at Imperium decided to transport him to Area 51 for further examination. At the facility, the head scientist of the organization, Dr. Teddy Payne, communicates with the symbiote residing within Mulligan. She inquires why the symbiotes had traveled to Earth through a meteorite. In response, the symbiote reveals that they were fleeing from Null. The reason behind their escape was Null's intent to eradicate them and establish his dominance over the entire universe. Every symbiote shared a mental link with one another, as well as with Null himself. Because of this connection, the symbiote within Mulligan was already aware that Null was searching for the Codex, which was currently in the possession of Eddie and Venom. In his pursuit of the Codex, Null had released creatures called xenophages across the universe. Mulligan then warns the scientists at Imperium that if Null acquires the Codex, he will annihilate every living being and engulf the universe in complete darkness. The only way to prevent this catastrophe is to destroy the Codex. However, the only method to accomplish this is by eliminating either the symbiote carrying the Codex or its host. General Strickland, who had been chasing Eddie in search of the symbiote, decides that the only solution is to kill Eddie. Meanwhile, a xenophage arrives on Earth in its search for the Codex. This creature possesses immense strength, but it can only detect the Codex when it is fully merged with a symbiote. Because of this limitation, the xenophage begins wandering in search of a symbiote containing the Codex. On the other hand, Eddie and Venom, aiming to reach New York, secretly climb onto the roof of an airplane. They resort to this method because they lack the funds to purchase tickets and also wish to avoid law enforcement. The moment Venom reveals his complete form, the xenophage detects the Codex within him and immediately launches an attack. In a desperate move, Eddie and Venom cleverly trap the xenophage inside the airplane's engine, enabling them to escape. They eventually find themselves in a desolate desert. However, the xenophage is still alive. At this moment, Venom realizes why this creature has been chasing him. He then explains everything about Null and the Codex to Eddie. Fearful of being detected, Venom avoids revealing his true form to evade the xenophage. To continue their journey to New York, Venom takes over a horse as his host and carries Eddie for some distance. However, at that very moment, agents from Imperium ambush them. As soon as Venom transforms into his full form, Xenophage also arrives at the scene and eliminates 2 soldiers of Imperium. Eddie and Venom manage to escape from there. On their way, they encounter a man named Martin, who was traveling to Area Ikawan with his family to witness extraterrestrial beings. Eddie quickly develops a friendly bond with Martin and his family, and they give him a ride to Las Vegas. However, Eddie lacks the money to continue his journey from there. To arrange funds, he enters a casino. Inside, he unexpectedly meets his old friend, Chen, who takes him to her hotel room. Venom, upon seeing Chen, becomes extremely excited and starts dancing with her. During this moment, Xenophage detects their presence and immediately launches an attack. In response, Venom quickly retreats into Eddie's body, making the Codex invisible to Xenophage, which then leaves the area. However, at that very moment, Imperium agents arrive. Using a powerful sonic attack, they separate Venom from Eddie and capture both of them, taking them to Area Ikawan. General Strickland intends to eliminate Eddie and Venom. However, Dr. Peen and her assistant, Sadie, strongly oppose this decision. They do not wish to take any lives. To protect Venom, Sadie conceals the symbiote within herself. Strickland proceeds to execute Eddie and fires a bullet at him. In a split second, Venom swiftly emerges from Sadie's body and merges back with Eddie. Unfortunately, this very action reveals their presence to Xenophage, which arrives at the facility and begins wreaking havoc. At this critical juncture, Mulligan utilizes the power of his symbiote to attack Xenophage. However, Xenophage overpowers him and ends his life. In an effort to stop this monstrous entity, the scientists of Imperium release all the captive symbiotes. These symbiotes then choose several individuals as their hosts. In reality, the symbiotes do not wish for Null to be set free. Consequently, they ally with Venom to battle against Xenophage. Meanwhile, Marty's family arrives at Area Ikawan and inadvertently finds themselves trapped in the middle of this conflict. Displaying great courage, Eddie ensures their safety and successfully helps them escape. During this time, the army of symbiotes gains the upper hand over Xenophage. Sensing defeat, Xenophage transmits a distress signal to its home planet, alerting Null about the exact location of the Codex. In response, Null immediately dispatches a massive horde of Xenophages to Earth. These creatures obliterate not only the symbiotes but also the entire force of Imperium warriors. In this intense battle, both Eddie and Strickland sustain severe injuries. Venom realizes that victory is impossible as long as Null continues to send Xenophages to Earth. The only solution to stop this destruction is to destroy the Codex. However, the only way to accomplish this is through the sacrifice of either Eddie or Venom. At this crucial moment, Venom decides to sacrifice himself. He separates from Eddie and absorbs all the Xenophages within himself. Then, he rushes into an acid chamber, which was about to initiate the destruction of Area Ikavan. Strickland, realizing the urgency of the situation, activates a hidden drainage system. As a result, Venom and all the Xenophages begin to dissolve rapidly. The acidic reaction releases a toxic substance that spreads throughout the facility. To protect Eddie, Venom forms a metallic protective layer around him. Then, General Strickland triggers a massive explosion, sacrificing himself in the process. This explosion wipes out Venom, Xenophage, and every other threat. The impact of the blast causes the complete destruction of Area Ikavan. In this dire situation, Drpeen takes a desperate measure to save herself and Sadie. She merges with the last remaining symbiote, which grants her enough strength to rescue Sadie. In the past, Drpeen had been struck by lightning, which had left one of her hands paralyzed. However, after merging with the symbiote, her hand is fully restored. Moreover, she gains an extraordinary ability to control electricity. Area Ikavan is completely destroyed. However, due to the protective shield created by Venom, Eddie manages to survive. After some time, Eddie regains consciousness in a hospital. A military officer informs him that he has saved the world. Therefore, the government is granting him a full pardon for all his past crimes. Now, he is free to go anywhere without restrictions. However, he must keep the incident at Area Ikavan a closely guarded secret. In that scene, Null is shown. He declares that since Venom is now dead, nothing stands in his way. He announces his intention to annihilate all planets and exterminate every living creature that inhabits them. The scene depicts the devastated remains of Area Ikavan. Among the ruins, only one bartender is found alive, the same bartender whom Strickland had previously imprisoned. Meanwhile, near a broken experimenter tube, a cockroach is seen crawling. It appears to be under the influence of a symbiote. This suggests that the fragment of the symbiote, which General Strickland had taken, has now transferred into the cockroach. This strongly indicates that the possibility of Venom's return still exists. Friends, if you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. See you in the next video.